Welcome back to the Brew Crew podcast, everyone. This is episode 281, music free today. Intro free.
Oh, yeah, we raw dogged it. Here,
you want to start over? Or are you good?
No.
We don't ever start over.
We have.
No, I was going to allude to that. This is episode 281 there.
281.
281. Back in the church room bar. Thanks, Phil, for joining me last week. Awesome episode. Great beers, too. Look forward to your review.
Yeah, I just got the scores. I just got the beers, so I'm looking forward to that. We're talking really fast because JT's got a hard out today.
Hard out.
We haven't seen each other in a while, and we started talking about... That's why when at first you said no music, I was like, that's all we've been talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So
no,
60 songs
no
in
intro
the
music.
90s.
We could have... Our pre-production today could have been a full hour.
It could have been. It's definitely...
Unfortunately, we can't.
No, unfortunately, that's just how life goes. I know there's weather rolling in. So we didn't start with a pre-beer today because, again, not a lot of pre-production. I told JT, hey, when he's like, hey, I got a hard out, I go, do you want a pre-beer?
Yeah.
I go, there's an 8.2 and a 9%er. That's going to be the surprise of the podcast. I'm just going to forward
Can't
project. Wait. So we're going to get started. We're going to crack the first one because the one is a pint can, and it's from one of our favorite brewers.
Ooh.
And then we'll get into why I was going.
Yeah, you teased this a couple weeks ago.
I did. So this is Tripping Animals.
Oh, maybe not.
In collaboration with Parrish. Parrish you've probably heard of because Ghost in the Shell. It's the internet darling of beers. It's right up there with like the Alchemist, like a Heavy Topper and stuff like that. Everyone always takes a picture of it.
Damn.
So it's like the purple, white, and black can with like the skull. So anyways, this is a double dry hopped India Pale Ale coming in at 8.4. I said 8.2, but 8.4%. So anyways, we'll go with the crack. It's not prepped. 3, 2, 1. Oh, perfect.
Great crack. I remember when we first did Tripping Animals during the first Advent calendar, which remains a legendary beer, the Tripping Animals.
I will buy Tripping Animals whenever I see it.
I believe my entire review was me saying tipping animals.
Yep.
Because I thought they were being clever and just expanding cow tipping to the community of the animal kingdom. That was wrong. They're tripping animals, which is also hilarious. I trip my dog sometimes. She doesn't ever really stumble because dogs have really great senses.
They're one of the few beers, and JT will agree, that they always get a second look. 450s there, Toppling Goliath, Tripping Animals. There's probably going to be a couple other ones.
Branch and Bone.
Branch and Bone for sure. Definitely for the local flair.
Even if they weren't local, they'd get a second look. You got your superstars like Russian River.
Yeah.
You'd always buy it, try it if you haven't had it. And yeah, a couple other ones, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll probably think of.
This is definitely one of them.
This is for sure.
Your list was good.
And interesting because it was a coffee sour beer, which may be a little foreshadowing.
Deceived us all.
You can find out more from trippinganimals.com. The one prevalent thing, because it's been a couple of years since we talked about them, is the eye. The eye that resonates through all of like their tap handles and all of their gimmicks. But just to refresh the Chuggalos on what Tripping Animals brings, they started in 2011 Venezuela, in a garage in Venezuela. And they realized that they exceeded their ability to create when they didn't have the correct means and resources and all of the things that they wanted to do. So they moved to Doral, Florida, right up, just think of Miami, in 2018, and have exploded since. And one thing with Tripping Animals, compared to their peers, is a lot of their beers, and this is no exception, they do in collaboration with. So they don't hide it on the can. Everything is in there, like the information part, who they collab with, and that happens to be Parrish, who I've never had, but that's one of my sought-after beers, is the Ghost in the Shell beer. That, again, I should have a picture, but everyone would see the can and go, oh, okay, that's Parrish. But I've never had anything. They're up there with Treehouse. Treehouse is number one now.
Treehouse. Maine also has a lot of
but you've had Maine.
Recognition. Oh, I was kind of still going off the list of beers that you would give a second look to.
Maine 100%
Maine,
is on
for sure.
Alchemist, if you see it.
So, for all of the things that people criticize capitalism for, this is an example of one of those things that you can embrace it for. You can give it an old pat on the back and say thanks capitalism, because this is Venezuela. I don't really know how their government is shaped right now. It's kind of chaos as far as I'm aware.
It is.
Doral, Florida, introduces them to the means they need, and now we're able to drink Tripping Animals.
So the one thing I will say about Florida, I just got back from a week-long trip in Florida. I was at Disney, and everyone, he doesn't listen anymore, but we've done I think I can outshout Dr. We've done the Broken Drum Bar about 120 episodes ago. His wife was our Disney planner, so he was very involved with my trip to Disney. And he always said for years and years, make sure you drink around Epcot.
Yeah.
He always throws gimmicks out on Facebook, like him and his wife go.
Yeah, they do it.
So I tried to do that one of the days we went to Epcot. And first of all, JT, have you ever been to Disney? Mm-hmm. The beers that they have at Epcot around the country, it's like each country brought their Miller Lite or Bud Light. It's very underwhelming.
Yeah.
And they each have so there was a couple that I hit up. None of them were anything over at 375. And it was balls hot last week. Like the coolest day was 93 with 80% humidity. It got up to 97, 98, 99. It was just incredible heat. So Dr. would say you're supposed to drink the frozen drinks. All of them have like their cocktails.
Yeah.
Well, by the time the cocktail areas opened up, because of the heat, the line to get a drink was 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Nope. Especially when you have little ones. Even though they were great, absolutely zero meltdowns. We had a stroller for them, so they had an area that they could go. It wasn't worth it. So I didn't get the full Epcot experience that relates tangentially. But the beers, I saw the beers at most, it was like just the ho-hum stuff that, again, their Miller Lights.
Kirin.
Yeah, Kirin was a Japanese beer.
What was that Italian one we had like 2 years ago? Probably that one.
Yeah, like Peroni.
Yeah.
There was a Stella out there. So I did.
I was gonna say
so for China,
I
was like, if they have snow, they didn't have snow.
They didn't have snow?
They didn't have snow. The number one beer in the world.
What did
and
they
would
have?
represent stuff I couldn't, like, I can't remember. But yeah, Kirin. It's just like the Weihenstephaner for like Germany. I did get a couple, but that was, by the time I was there, it was like 9:30 in the morning or something. I needed to have something to satiate. Very cool. I could definitely see myself going back. My in-laws came with. Amazing time. Everyone's like, oh my God, they make jokes about how Mickey grabs you by your ankles and shakes out all your money. If you spread that stuff out, and you start planning a year ahead of time and book your stuff, it really limits the shock. The shock. The most expensive dinner I've ever had was there. We went to STK Upscale. Myself and my wife, we got a quiet night together. That was neat. Obviously, no beers there. Was drinking more cocktails or whatever. But amazing time. If you ever have the opportunity and liquidity in life to go, highly recommend it. Just have motivated people and kids that are willing to. And again, having a side-by-side tandem stroller limited their steps or whatever, and really gave them the energy to go longer throughout the day, even in that excruciating heat.
I've never heard of STK.
If it is, it's a very small chain, but steak or oysters, like Stacy had never had oysters. Do you like oysters? You've never had them?
I don't believe I've had them, but I wouldn't like them.
No, really? Is it a texture thing?
Almost certainly, yeah. It's a texture thing. I
know people that don't chew them.
I am the type of person who tries to clear the sinuses by like hawking a loogie.
Yeah.
So I'm used to the texture of that.
A professional hawker.
So anything going the reverse direction that has that consistency, I'm not really into.
Okay, I've never had it put that, because I'm a loogie hawker too, to clear your throat.
But you're okay with it. It seems like oysters would be phlegm to me. Or loogie-esque.
They're
with little chunks.
It's such a great. I never thought of it this way. It's a vehicle for other things, like cocktail sauce,
like escargot.
Escargot is like,
that's my biggest criticism of escargot. People who
butter and garlic.
I eat this. I'm so fucking cultured. You're butter and garlic. You nailed it. You're eating butter and garlic out of a shell with a rubber vessel. So in between those ingredients.
My father-in-law and I love escargot. We get it it comes. Have you ever seen the escargot?
Right, but you're not like pretentious about it.
No.
Some people really are.
Another foreshadow. I'm
putting it together.
We're putting together some foreshadowing here. There's one other. If you hit one other theme, you're gonna nail the beer. But it's interesting.
Coffee sour, pretentious.
It's just you're just right there.
Oh shit.
So the best part about it is, I understand it's a vehicle for other things.
Yeah, you do.
But
so oysters is the same way. What's the other things?
Like horseradish.
Okay.
So
you are a big horseradish.
Yeah, horseradish, Tabasco, cocktail sauce.
Okay.
But there's other people I know, like with like clams or oysters or whatever, that can taste that. Like they have refined. My outgoing commander that I spoke about. He just had his Finney flight and paid for the bar. We were at a no shit bar or restaurant in Newfoundland in St. John's, and they were able to. He was able to identify the different bays that all the.
I'm gonna give you a compliment that I don't actually know whether it's valid, but I think you should carry with you. One of the results of this podcast has been that my ability to distinguish flavor has just gone through the roof. And it was not intentional at all. I tried wines. I don't like wine.
Unintended consequences.
I've tried wines and I nail the flavor profiles every single time. It's almost like I'm cheating, but I'm not. I bet you could approach that type of, maybe not the bays, but you could distinguish the differences between them if you really tried. I'd be willing to bet, given the number of beers and the amount of actual sending the signals from your brain to your tongue and back again to say how do I describe what I'm doing, it's almost like lifting weights for your muscles. It's like you're exercising that pathway, and you've got a skill that you might not realize you have. I bet you could do it. I bet you could taste all those clams and be like, yeah, these are different.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
but maybe you're not tasting them correcly.
Yeah,
holding
them.
You're again, just swallowing them.
They're definitely a vehicle for other flavors.
Yeah. So if you did it the way that other guy did, I bet you could. Yeah. You could compete.
But it's nice too because oysters are a good shareable, and typically somebody, because they come out with a cacophony of horseradish or whatever, accoutrement to it.
Shit around them.
It's a good conversation or whatever. So like when I go out to like a supper club or whatever, we'll split it. Stacy had never had oysters before, and she's like, it's a texture thing.
It's a texture thing. I'm sure
that she doesn't like celery. So that's 100% a texture thing. Yeah. Because celery has no flavor. It's a texture thing. Yeah. So
I like celery. But I wonder the texture. So that's just Stacy. The texture of celery.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder what the texture is that I can't process that thought.
Like I love celery.
Yeah, I love it too, and I like
it's almost better than some wings, and you know the places where you are, where your celery is better than
I could get maybe if you've accidentally eaten hair. Like one time, my wife made a sandwich. She doesn't listen, so it's okay to say this. She used to, when I was working and she was still a stay-at-home mom. Yeah. She would make my lunch every day, and I was eating at my desk, and there was not one but multiple hairs clumped up in the middle of the sandwich, and I didn't eat anything that day. I was just like, it's my wife's hair. She's clean. She showers every day. I know it, and I could have just continued eating that sandwich. But something about hair fucks me up. Like hair and food. Even if it's someone I know.
We all have our switches. I mean.
Well, celery could give you that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Stacey thinks she had a bad hair experience and that's what it does. But the crunchiness and everything, there's all these foods that, pickles, kind of sit in that category where it's juicy, crunchy.
Her favorite thing, too.
Type of thing. But celery, it's weird that it's a texture thing specifically. I could see if it was the flavor thing.
My daughters and her, for every meal, they could have a cheese stick and a pickle.
Gosh, I could eat a cheese stick and a pickle. So what my wife
and they do,
and I wound up doing when we did do keto, which I don't do anymore because it's hard to stick to. Yeah, is we love cheese. We love charcuterie. We talked about that in 2019, 2020, probably to death. Replace the crackers with pickle slices, and you've got yourself a keto meal. Oh, yeah. So every day for lunch, we'd have salami, cheese, and pickles as our meal. Amazing. I love pickles.
Yeah, good fat content in the salami too. It's not like a really like hyper lean meat like a chicken.
Yeah, and there's protein. So if you're working out, which I also wasn't doing or am currently not.
No, you're sitting here and drinking a beer. 16-ounce curls.
Hell yeah, dude.
Anyways, I appreciate the compliment. I'm tempted for content. I'm tempted to pay for you. Our bandwidth, again, we try to, get these episodes in. Chuggalo Dave, thanks for the outshout. He goes, what? He goes, what again? No episode this week? And I go, dude, sometimes we got a Rolex, but I appreciate you keeping me on my toes.
No, that's good.
Out of love.
It's almost like Dave is a character of the podcast itself because I also think about him on Monday when we don't record.
Yeah, so
we think about him when we tap. I finally finished watching the Utopias episode, which I realized only this morning that I had never finished it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Dave and the clinking of the glass. So Dave is a recurring character, and he doesn't even realize. He might realize it.
Oh, he because he definitely listens, and it got brought up because I saw him after Utopias. Okay. But as content, not that we have time or bandwidth or whatever, but as content, I would be willing to bankroll like either your Cicerone or your sommelier courses to test. I think it would be great.
I think
like
we would dominate those.
You would do a lot better than
me.
We would
I
both
could dominate those courses.
I'm willing. If we had Stev on the payroll and everything like that, to just like a training montage or whatever. Have you
both of us.
I
actually think that a lot
of the tiger,
the sommelier. What was the other one?
Cicerone.
A lot of the feedback
I still get the emails
that comes from that is bullshit. Like, I feel like you and I would dominate it so well that we would actually influence how other people describe the flavors they're tasting.
I think Cicerone, like completion all the way through all the tiers, I think it's under 15% right now. Sommelier is a little bit higher because more people do that, and it's a much more flushed out program. Cicerone is much more junior. But it would be great content for you, and we could have it chopped up and edited, things that we don't do now.
The only area I would struggle is hop profiles.
Oh, yeah, different hop.
To be
a Cicerone.
Hard.
Yeah. Instead of a sommelier.
Yeah, Cicerone. I don't know about the Cicerone or the sommelier part. I would never succeed at that. The flavors that get me
I thought you tasted wine.
I did, and I nail the flavors every time, but that doesn't mean I nail all of them. I just nail the ones I mention are a part of the profile.
Yeah.
My wife got me a Scotch sniffing kit one time for a gift, and some of the things that they include in there are not achievable.
It's especially if you're like Highland Scotch and you get that much more peat, like you can't discern it. And those guys
peat, sure.
They'll open it up with like 2 or 3 drops of water to
as a category up. Peat, yeah. But
that's what I'm saying. Highland Scotch,
and
more
wood,
like inland.
You can do wood, but when you start distinguishing the types of wood, that's part of me feels like I'm not there. And so I can't comment on it, but also part of me feels like that's bullshit.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you distinguishing between the types of wood? How much wood have you tasted?
Yeah.
That you would know the difference between this mahogany and oak and pine and all this other stuff. Like pine, you wouldn't say that for wood. You'd say that for the needle scent and flavor. But anyway, all this to say, I don't know. There's so much. There's a gray area where I think people are lying.
We're circling the drain, and I think we're close. Again, we have all of these ideas. It's just time.
It also being like a sommelier or Cicerone requires a certain pretentiousness, as we've covered. That it would be cool it would almost be punk rock for us to get it.
Yeah.
Because we don't wear sweater vests and we don't shop at the Ralph Lauren store. It would just be cool to be the counterculture to that, which is in some ways what we're seeing in the brewing community. The Branch and Bone, they're we're young, we're cool, and fuck your traditions. We got all this really awesome stuff that we're actually doing better than you.
It's funny that the second piece of beer news, and you say about brewing community in my hometown, a brewer had just closed down earlier this spring. It was called Modicum, and they closed down. And one of my favorite bars, out to Third and Vine, bought up all of their stock. It was like we'll be able to buy it all. Well, then another brewer in town, K Point, they had a great location, and they were like the barrel house, but they happened to brew.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're gonna shut down Modicum. Come take our stuff and restart up. So it was a success in a small, tight-knit brewing community that they shut down, and they're able to take over another, and they don't keep the K Point name because he's like, yep, I'm retiring. That's fine. Bring back your Modicum name.
No shit.
Yeah. And the reason wasn't because of their product, and other people that will listen to this, or because I bring up hyper specialized Eau Claire brewing, because we're able to do it because of the Brewing Project. The Brewing Project is pretty much nationwide now, but is people take care of their own, especially in the brewing community.
Yeah, for sure.
And with collaborations.
Yeah.
I've killed this beer.
That's a great point. People take care of their own. Well, let me get the can art out of the way then real quick.
And you know what I mean when I say the eye. It's on all of their. It's this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not prominently in all of their. Yeah. So I'll do it for the camera.
In this can, it's got a lobster in a boat, a rowboat, on a beach. Now, there's the only thing I'll say about this can art. It's good can art, eye-catching, perfect. Tripping Animals is the feature here. What Tripping Animals should do is just get rid of all can art and just put Tripping Animals across the can, because
we're gonna buy it.
Look at it. We'll at least look at what the beer is.
They had like 4 or 5 different varieties of Tripping Animals at Pat's too. So,
oh wow, okay, that's good to know. So with this can art, it's weird in life when you realize that you know nothing about a subject that you thought you knew a lot about. And lobsters is something I know almost nothing about, and I'm slowly realizing that as I tried to think of things to say about lobsters. Everything comes up crab, and I don't really understand the lobster at all. Like, what the fuck is the lobster's purpose? What's its evolution? Why does it have claws if it sits at the bottom of the ocean? Like, versus a crab who goes to the beach and grabs food and shit. I don't know. I don't know anything about lobsters.
2 things about lobsters.
Other than they're somewhat delicious if you dip them in butter. A vessel.
A vehicle.
For butter. Vehicle for butter.
Yeah. Vehicle on the outside, vessel if it contains it. Which I just came up with now. So, I had a vegan lobster roll.
That's a good point.
At Disney.
A vegan lobster roll.
Oh, sorry, a vegetarian because there was a bun.
So
I'm guessing the bun was
there are vegetarians who think that seafood is
pescatarians.
Oh, pescatarians?
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Okay.
So that was all. It was pretty good. It had an amazing texture because the celery cut up into it. Now I will ask you this because fine dining the last week. What are your thoughts on surf and turf? To me, I will always be a red meat guy. Like. Now, I love crab cakes. Lobsters don't do it for me.
No, surf and turf. I do like crab cakes, but
it's my number one. I'm always going to order it.
It's definitely not my number one. But I do order it, and I've run into a series of crab cakes that I've had that
put those people on
that smelled too crabby to me, and I didn't like them.
Anyone local?
Yeah, I went to Oakwood Club, and I've had at least crab cakes twice that I liked, and then the last time I had them, I did not like them.
What the fuck?
But the Oakwood Club, if you guys are in town, the Oakwood Club has phenomenal food. Great place. If you can't get into the Pine Club and you can't get into Paragon, go to the Oakwood Club as your third option. It's phenomenal. Great environment too. Like, it's the perfect setting to feel like you're on a date in the 80s.
It's I'm there. Like, it's perfect. That's
awesome.
That's what people of our generation that have the ability to go pay a little bit extra for a meal. That's what we want. We want that vibe.
There's carpet. It's dark. There's mirrors for some reason. The bartender's British and he overserves everyone. And no one's ever on their phone there. It's weird to observe that, but no one's ever on their phone at Oakwood Club. Anyway,
you say that as I'm filling out, but no.
No. But this is an Oakwood Club. So the beer's actually Crawdaddy, and Crawdads are crustaceans similar. They're like claw. They're like claw capable shrimp. Crawdads.
Yeah. So
whereas a lobster is much different. It's almost like a.
You have crawdads and what's the other name for them? Freshwater.
Freshwater crawdads are. Freshwater crawdads.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
They're sea serpents.
No, gosh, you get them like cornfish.
Frisch. Frisch is big boys.
I told my daughter my favorite fish joke, which is what's a fish with no eyes? Fish. And she's like, "Oh, Dad."
That's really funny, actually. So that's the Can Opener segment. Great segment today. I don't know anything about lobsters. Did you know that it's illegal to stop a crab from stealing a baby turtle off the beach? When the turtles go and lay all their eggs and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like you cannot interrupt. Apparently.
Crayfish. There we go.
Crayfish. So you cannot interrupt the nature. Like natural selection, I guess, but people do it all the time.
I do know that only
is.
I do know that only 3% of baby turtles that are hatched make it.
Yeah. That really sucks.
That's why they lay hundreds of eggs.
It's so sad to watch, especially like when you see a baby turtle, you're like, that's like a puppy, and I've had a puppy, and it's amazing. Puppies are awesome. This beer is really good. I like that one of the hops is cryo cashmere because this beer is essentially the cashmere of IPAs. This beer is smooth as shit.
Does it taste like an 8.4 at all?
No, it doesn't taste like an 8.4.
It tastes like a light IPA.
It tastes like I'd say like a 6.5 New England. That's what this beer tastes like. It is almost juicy, thick. It's got that. If I was to pour it in a glass, I'm sure it'd be hazy. It is. Cashmere is like the perfect word for this beer. I'm glad that that's on there because I never would have thought of it myself. It's like a soft IPA. It doesn't register as a double IPA. It doesn't register as a double dry hopped IPA. It's just a really balanced beer that hits all the right notes, doesn't come in too bitter. I will say it's probably more for the New England fan than the West Coast fan. Maybe I'm wrong. You'll have your comments. But what is a good comparison to this would be like a I don't even know, like a cognac maybe. It's like the cognac of beers. It's just like smooth, it's rich, but not sweet. Doesn't have the sweetness of that. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad comparison. I don't know. It's cashmere. It is the cashmere of beers. It's like soft. That's all I can say about it. It's very good. It's hard to score because it's like, do you score it on DDH? Do you score it on its flavor isolated from what it's supposed to be?
That was my challenge.
Yeah, it's tough. So in that regard, I'm not going to give it a 5, but I will give it a 4.75 because this beer is amazing. But if you are a seeker of DDHs or DIPAs, you probably will be disappointed in what you get. But if you're a fan of good IPAs, you'll like it. Man, if you added lactose or marshmallow to this, that's a milkshake IPA that I could drink all day.
It's interesting because I'm going to be the inverse of JT. This beer, again, being Tripping Animals, being a double dry hop, being something 8.41, it tastes like a light IPA, not because it's not full bodied. Rather, this is the girl that
it's not full bodied.
You meet out at the club and then you get her back. JT's told me stories where you get her back to where you're going to bed down or whatever. And she's as stiff as a board.
Where you're going to bed down.
This was an enjoyable beer. It's crushable, and that's what makes it dangerous at 8.4%.
For sure.
But there's no wow factor to this. Like it's not going to turn me off. It's a great beer because it is crushable, and there is a couple flavor. I'm not going to say it's like a light-hearted Bell's or something like that where it's a light IPA.
No, it's not.
It's definitely full-bodied. It just doesn't come with that oomph that you would expect with that ABV. I'm at a much more lower at a off the top rope at a 375.
That's a big separation.
And what I wrote down was, I got to write down your score. So for the spreadsheet, I wrote down it tastes like a light IPA, and that's not a knock on it. It's just I expected more. Looking at the flavor notes when I was writing in my score on Untapped, citrus, and I don't get the citrus or whatever.
Yeah, I don't get the citrus.
Everything is muted because everything is commingling in there. There's not something that stands out. It's married and built very well.
All right, I concur. I don't think that it. I don't taste the citrus either.
Also, Disney, have more IPAs freaking available around there.
Disney.
Jeebus Louise.
Come on, Disney.
Jeebus Louise.
You think that they'd brew their own beer by now? Like have a Disney beer? It would only make sense.
That would make... Well, a lot of like why they don't have beer at Magic Kingdom is because Walt didn't want alcohol.
Fine, but you have it at
So
Epcot.
you can have alcohol at Magic Kingdom, but it's got to be sit-down restaurants, and by the time a typical day's going on, you can't walk in and just order a beer. Like, you have to have a reservation.
And here's the thing. Walt's dead.
Walt's...
You know, you got it's all profit driven now, so just do what's best for profits.
It's incredible how much that is, and they have more water fountains available. All right, so JT, we're on our way. We're on a journey to our second. What is the second beer? I've given hints. You've like nailed everything. You've nailed the brewer. You've nailed the type of beer, and you've nailed the main profile.
Well, it's probably a Pretentious ales. Pretentious, whatever.
Yeah, Pretentious. So you nailed that.
Not ales, but Pretentious.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Sour.
Yeah.
And the main profile, coffee.
Coffee. JT
Damn,
nailed
dude.
it all.
Well, you found a rival to the Tripping Animals beer.
I did, which is ironic that I didn't realize till you started. So this is Pretentious Barrel House. So JT, that's going to be considered a victory.
Oh wow, yeah.
It says, okay, when I was looking at it online, it said 9. Now I'm looking at the can, it says 6.6. So I'm going to adjust a little bit because I was like, that's a big sour. This is an American Sour Ale with Thunder Kiss Coffee. So this is going to be in the same category, I think we can say, as what Tripping Animals was during the inaugural Advent calendar. So I consider this a dark sour, and a little bit of background while we go with the crack. Because of coffee. 3, 2, 1. Two perfect cracks.
That was even better than the first. Wow. Smell is on point. It is on point.
Oh, it's not hiding it. You'd be able to smell it. The age on this is 25 months of in the barrels. So we'll get into a little bit. That was now I'm excited.
Yeah, be excited. It's an interesting beer.
I bought another Pretentious. Wow.
That has a lot of things going on. That's an ambitious beer.
We talk about having this much punch and ferocity to sours. We'll get into whether it's a match made in heaven. So for Pretentious, this beer is called Percolator. The only detail, JT got everything. He goes, it's going to be in a light 12-ounce can. You got everything.
Oh, that was the other theme?
Yeah. No. That just... I was giving you a lot of credit. So Pretentious started in October of 2017. And before I forget, I'm going to give an out-shout to Stev. Because Stev is the individual that turned me on to Pretentious. So all the Pretentious beers that I've had have been with Stev. You can find out more at pretentiousbarrelhouse.com. They're out of Columbus, so just our neighbor to the east here. And they, believe it or not, they focused on barrel-aged sours.
I do believe it.
That was their focus.
I do believe it.
So I was looking at the
Barrel-aged
podcast,
sours.
and our description has never changed. A non-pretentious podcast, and here we are doing a pretentious beer.
Yeah, well, you have to. That's the name. You got to do it. Barrel aged. So are they aging in wine barrels?
I think these are. It's got to be wine barrels, right?
Yeah, I mean for a sour, but you could do it in a bourbon barrel. I don't see why. Who's making the fucking rules? We are.
I didn't.
And by we, I mean everyone. We, the royal we. Make your own rules. If you want to age a sour in a tequila barrel, fuck it, do it. You want to age a sour in a bourbon barrel? Sure. But it makes sense to age a sour in a wine barrel.
Yeah. To elicit those tannins, because those tannins elevate sours.
I was not aware how many vines that grow in our local gardens were from the grape family. There's so many.
Interesting.
So I
have nothing of value to add to that comment.
It's well, obviously a wine adjacent comment, but for those who have iPhones, I don't know if the Android does this. Probably, I'm gonna just say it probably does this.
Yeah.
If you take a picture of a plant, it will identify that plant, and it's not an app.
Oh,
it's literally through the Photos app. Well, I have all this random shit in my yard because the 2 owners ago of my house, it was a lady who
was it Wilbur or Orville? Right.
Yeah, it was Orville Wright. Two owners ago was the president of the Cincinnati Botanical Gardens, and while she lived in this house, she planted an insane amount of things.
So she just drove.
So far, yeah. Just was like, I'm fine driving an hour every day.
To have that.
Because back then they didn't have remote work.
Well, is that why she let your fucking yard overgrow with the kudzu? Is because she's this will be great.
Yeah, probably.
This will be fucking durable, and some husky man with a great palate's going to have to come through here.
With a great palate.
That's probably what she said.
That was one of the qualities that she described. Now, 3 owners ago was this lady named Virginia Blankeny. Just if anyone's wondering why I know so much, the Historical Society of my town keeps a record of all the owners and then tells us about them. 3 owners ago was this lady, Virginia Blankeny. She was a designer for Tiffany's.
Okay.
So she made jewelry. Well, she was also fucking insane. That's what they don't tell you. So I went behind the carriage house. I started digging up to put the steps in.
I've peed there multiple times.
Yeah, and I also was
break up the ground.
Trying to build a path so that I don't slip and fall in the winter. And there are seashells everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we're not living in old beach zone. This is like a glacial area. It should basically be old crustacean fossils and dirt.
Till.
Well, my neighbor, I asked who's been there for 60 years. She's like, oh yeah, Virginia used to go out and just like place seashells gently down in the ground because she believed that some crazy thing. I don't know what she believed. Now we're talking thousands of seashells that I've found. Like, I could rake them up into piles.
How many owners have there been to your house?
There's been, I think, 6 or 7.
So you guys
we might be the 7th.
7th? Jeez. So the average person has lived there. That house is well over 100 years old. Yeah.
The average is about 10 years. Yeah. But it's obviously, Virginia lived there for like 40.
Yeah.
That's why it got to this. So it was built in like 1880. And that was the guy who the street's named after, the school's named after. And then he built it for his daughter. And then after that was it Huffy or Schwinn that was in Dayton?
Schwinn.
So the Schwinn president bought it.
Yeah.
Lived there with his wife for a long time. And then after that, Virginia. Then after Virginia,
the Botanical Garden.
The Botanical Garden. Then the people who we bought it from, and then us. So what is that? 6?
Yeah.
So 6. We're the 6th owners. So that's the lineage.
Wow.
And I mean, the Wright brothers' house is just down the street. And I like to imagine that somewhere in my house, the Wright brothers came. Well, not the Wright brothers, just Orville came and had dinner. Because Wilbur died before their house was finished being built.
Yeah.
Anyway. But Orville was being sued into oblivion at the time. So maybe he didn't have dinner with his neighbors. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the history of my house. So, how we got there, I don't remember.
Because we're a pretentious podcast.
Oh, we're pretentious. Yep. So the Botanical Gardens lady planted all of these vines, and I went through and took pictures of all of them to identify what they were.
Yeah.
And at least 3 of them are in the grape family.
Interesting. So grape leaves, you could eat them. Edible.
I don't know if I would.
Okay.
But the vines are it's more of the vine. I don't know if the leaves are edible. The vines are in the grape family.
Yeah, it's just like
which means the leaves are in the grape family too.
Yeah, stuffed.
I don't see grapes.
Stuffed grape leaves. Oh, it's so
stuffed grape leaves. Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
so
leaves. Yeah, that's what we do. That we stuff our grape leaves.
Oh, so good. Good way to get rid of them too. Because
you stuff them with fruit or meat.
Combination.
Combination of fruit and meat.
Well, sometimes fruit, sometimes meat.
Oh, okay. So that's good.
Think of it as like Jim John's does their unwich or like lettuce wraps. I love that more and more restaurants because I don't want the bun. Make lettuce wraps.
Jimmy John's is one of those places where the bun is part of the experience. I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Their buns are great, and the only other one that I've experienced that has that quality,
Submarine House,
only for the flatbread is Subway's flatbread. That bread does become a part of the sandwich in a way that you can't replace it. I get why you get the unwich because you're healthy.
Yeah.
But Jimmy John's bread is really good.
It's better.
That's true. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. This beer. Should we do can art? I'll just show it at this distance.
So the one thing I will say about you that
can art boner. You don't have to. I'll get up.
No, I got it.
Okay, you got it.
It's their font choice. Their
font choice
always the same.
It's the same.
Old.
Very good. Yeah, it's old. It's got a very are you familiar with the Skull Crusher bicycle?
No.
This is a Skull Crusher bicycle font. Look it up. You'll agree. While I talk, it's the curly mustache.
Okay.
Weightlifting in a singlet.
Steam
font.
Oh, the Vaudevillains.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. Skull Crusher are the bicycles that have a huge front wheel and a tiny back wheel.
Yeah.
This is the font of a Skull Crusher bicycle.
100%. Okay, now I see.
So that's and the name's amazing. So I don't think I'd think about the font as detailed today as I would have had I have not recently watched the British version of Antiques Roadshow. Just in the background, it was on somewhere, and I realized, holy shit, British like luxury. It's all just tailed letters that have huge tails to them. That's literally it. We look at those and are like, wow, how luxurious.
My aunts,
but not really.
My aunts have
tails.
Amazing penmanship. Their cards always come and it's immaculate. Always big swoops. My mom has really good penmanship. I don't, but like,
I have the best penmanship amongst the worst penmanship.
You're the best of the worst.
I'm the best of the worst.
That's like how Adam Carolla always says, "I'm the best at receiving oral."
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no one else can compare to me.
I'm sure he is. So and now I'm like, oh yeah, there's these fonts, they elicit a memory, and this memory is the Skull Crusher bicycle.
But the thing with these fonts, it's very vertical where it's not slanted. It's not italicized. Everything is vertical with curls.
Yes, with curls.
Instead of swooping, this is more vertical with curls.
Yes. Yeah, great. And
sorry, Stacy.
And their collaboration with Thunderkiss Coffee. Never heard of Thunderkiss Coffee.
Local Dayton or local Columbus.
Columbus.
And they outshout them on the can. James or John.
Okay. That's the top two ones. An exploration of flavor. Lots of birds on here
right now. Could you imagine if we were to switch these beers?
No. That would be bad. That would be bad for them. For tripping animals. For this one,
right?
Okay, so all of the flavors all of the two things that they promise, sour and coffee, they're there.
Oh, 100% they're there. There's no denying what this beer is.
They're there. The sour is almost what we always ask for. It is prevalent. It's front. It's the front of house.
Could you say this is a Skull Crusher to your palate? This beer is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Skull Crusher to the palate. The sour is sour. It's perfect. It's nearly perfect. Just a little bit more punch in the sides. And we're talking about a sour profile specifically that's nailed to the T. The coffee also nailed to a T. Smells like coffee. tastes like coffee, leaves a coffee-like flavor on your palate. Together, not as great. Just, it's almost like these two flavors are working independently, and then for a brief moment on your palate, they come together and say, we're not compatible. So forget that this ever happened. We're going to go our separate ways. That's the whole entire interaction that's happening when you drink this beer, and then you take more sips and the same exact interaction happens. It's like, nope, nope, nope. Okay, well, you've just drank this beer. That's the summary of this beer. So while we've seen Tripping Animals execute a coffee sour perfectly to a 5, this one is almost like I'm drinking two drinks at once. I have 2 straws that are diverging into 2 different cups. And it's just weird as fuck, honestly. It's just like, it's like we never had a thing like this where we could describe tasting 2 things at the exact same time. It's usually we're like on the front of my tongue, on the back of my tongue, or in the breath or whatever. And we're all pretentious about it. This one is just like at the exact same time I'd say sour as shit and coffee. Well, that doesn't work for me. I love the sour in this beer. I love the sour so much that I would, if you just illustrated it with another, I don't know, if you just maybe like mixed it, I don't know, put one of those like cool stir sticks in there, and it would be a 5 probably, but I'd say that this beer sits for me at a 3.5 because the sour's excellent and the coffee ruins everything. But the coffee's it's done excellently as well. Here's what I'd recommend. It's 3.5. Make a porter or a stout with this exact coffee profile, and you're going to hit a home run. Then, separately, make a sour with this exact sour profile, and you're going to hit a home run. Period.
All right, so I made a graph that I depicts.
Do you need more time?
No. So I just want to write down your score. 3.5 or 3.75?
3.5.
3.5. Okay. We're gonna be a point off on both beers in different directions. Okay. So here, and I'll show it. So here's the sour, and I will show it. We need telestrators. That's what I wrote down. We need a telestrator. Anyways, okay.
We need a tableau.
The sour comes in strong, and as soon as the sour starts failing, check it out. How long are we into this? If you're listening into it audio, or it's close to the end. So sour, and then as soon
50 minutes.
As soon as the sour starts failing, the coffee takes over, and then at the end they both like persist but subtly. And if that's their design, that's an ingenious freaking design. So. Ingenious. As not a big coffee drinker, I drink it now, like when it's available or whatever, but coffee is coffee is coffee. Coffee is its own flavor, and they didn't try to doctor it up here. This is going to be like a dark roast or something like that, so it's just coffee. It's not like vanilla bean coffee or something.
I will say coffee's not coffee.
Well, coffee's a flavor on itself.
Coffee's a flavor.
Yeah. This is the flavor of coffee. This is not like a gimmick coffee like banana or blueberry dream or something like that. So, anyways, we need a telestrator because I could have been like, hey, here's the flavor profile because and JT agrees it's something we agree on.
We need it.
Off the top rope, I'm going to give this beer a 4.5, and it misses, but ever so slightly. These flavors were executed to perfection by Tripping Animals.
Yes.
The problem is they turned both of these up to 11. And somebody has to be the bitch in this can, and neither one of these
no
flavors.
One's willing to concede.
No one wants to concede. So, like your flavor, your profile can handle a 10. A 10. It can be a 10 sour, it could be a 10 coffee or whatever. The problem is there's 2 6s in this can, and there's just not enough room on your palate or whatever. It's really enjoyable. It gives you a lot to talk about. I want to buy so much of this beer, and if that's their goal, to gift to people. Because there's a lot of people in my group that drink sours and are coffee drinkers too. And I'd be like, hey, but I don't know if anyone's going to be like, maybe if they're like a big, huge coffee snob or something like that. There is a market for this beer for people. I enjoy the shit out of this beer. This is a gimmick delivered at 6.6%. This one tastes more alcoholic than, by the way, the 8.6.
You know what might settle this beer on our palates is vanilla.
the first
sour coffee vanilla. It would be good. Do it.
But then would
Try
it like sour vanilla? Wouldn't that be like a sour milk?
We've been surprised before.
Oh yeah.
Not sour milk, no.
But yeah, this is like you turn both up to 11, and somebody has to be the bitch.
It'd be like a vanilla, like Laffy Taffy.
I don't know if I've had
or
Laffy Taffy.
Charleston Chew.
Yeah.
Have you had a Charleston Chew?
Yeah, I've had a Charleston
Chew.
It'd
be like
or like
that.
an O. Henry or something like. Yeah, it's just like a slow poke. Just something
that's or whatever that thing is in half baked. Remember that?
Yeah, so
Abba Zaba.
Yeah, something that's trying to rip the fucking teeth out of your mouth.
Yeah, yeah. I can't eat those anymore.
This is, again, this can is only big enough for one of these to be a 6, and you know somebody else has to be a 4 or a 5. But they're both home runs. It's just I don't know if it works together. It's just
it does. It's been proven that it does, but not in this setting, not in this regard.
Yeah. So the Tripping Animals, I would say that sour. They both weren't 6s. They were commingled very well. This is like when the Lakers, to go back 20 years, had Kobe, Shaq, and they're like, you know who else we need? Karl Malone and Gary Payton. There's only one ball. There's only one ball on the court. You need two at that. Yeah. So that was, and they didn't win the championship when they got them. So that's what.
Well. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where I was going with the whelp. I said it, and then I lost my train of thought, but.
It's sour to the end too.
It's sour. It's really good sour. How they executed it perfectly. Yeah, I can see where it's like that.
I hope they're happy with this beer because it's delivered on the gimmick.
Yeah, this beer is not a bad beer. It's not a pour out. It's not. It's just like not meshing. There needs to be like a. This is one of those gastronomy things where there needs to be like a binding agent to bring them together and say like, here's your transition from sour to coffee. And I think it could be vanilla. I don't know. That's just a guess. I don't brew this shit. I just drink it.
Like, what's your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert? Ice cream.
Okay, so this is like, you serve JT, what kind of ice cream?
If I had to choose of the world of desserts?
Yep.
Blizzard.
Okay, this is like you're gonna be shy about this. It's gonna be like
I also like
diarrhea blizzard for JT.
No, not a diarrhea blizzard. This would be like there's no comparison to a blizzard. Actually, it's a bad analogy because I thought that
soft serve.
I thought like a fruit blizzard wouldn't be good.
Nope.
And I had
Butterfinger is my blizzard.
No, they're all good. All of them. Every single one's delicious.
No, because
none of them aren't good.
Yes, gummy worm blizzards aren't good because
gummy worm blizzards aren't. But
so you said every one of them. I just proved
just
one.
The gummy worm part. But like I had the mud blizzard last year. They had that. Yeah. The Oreo chocolate ice cream. Fuck yeah, dude! I order that all the time. I love that blizzard. Yeah. It's amazing. They got the strawberry cheesecake. Even the cotton candy one, amazing.
Don't put fucking gummies into blizzards or mixers or whatever you call them because it just fucking makes those shits as hard as rocks, and then little kids grab into them and they're like ice cream everywhere. Yeah, Fuck you, places that do that. Because then my kids see it and they're like, I want the gummy worm.
Don't do gummy worms in blizzards anymore.
No,
it's stupid.
Gross. Idiots. Stupid. Fuck off. Because that can't come up the fucking straw either.
You know what really that does for Dairy Queen though?
What?
Is it takes room in the cup from the ice cream.
The gummy
just
worms
like
are
load them in there.
Oh yeah. The gummy worms are more expensive. Like I would say, you keep your cost down.
Yeah, dairy's expensive these days.
Nah, we need to pay more for dairy.
Xanthan gum and gelatin or whatever's in those gummy worms can't be that expensive. Pig bones aren't expensive. That's what gelatin is.
Horse hooves.
Horse hooves.
Yeah.
Glue. What's the glue?
I dated. Here's my vegan. Bring it full circle. I dated a vegan in college, and I offered her an Altoid, and like the third time, she always like turned her nose at me. I go, "What is it?" And she goes, "There's gelatin in there." I go, "Gelatin," and then she's like, "It's horse hooves." I go, what the fuck?
Horse hooves. Well, it's also pig bones.
Yeah,
that's another.
There's a lot of like.
That was something I learned working in the global war on terror. Is that Muslims don't eat Jello.
Oh yeah.
Because it's got pig in it.
Yep. Hooved.
Didn't know that.
Cloven.
Didn't know that. Till then.
Crazy.
Good thing that war's over.
Right. Yeah. Mission accomplished. 22 years later. 23? 21.
From the mission accomplished speech? Yeah, what was that, 03?
From the banner. Was that on your ship? That was on a carrier.
No, that was a carrier, yeah.
Not the Boxer.
I think that might have been the George Washington.
It sounds right. Closing thoughts. Anything brewing, JT?
Anything brewing. Closing thoughts is June. It's hot. It's summer.
It's not hot. It was
well,
like
not
60s
now,
and
but it
70s.
was last weekend. Enjoy what you enjoy. Don't let anyone tell you what to drink. You know.
Good thoughts overall.
Well, I had all these baseball games. Like, there's so much polarization. When the dads all drink their own beers, like their own light beers or common beers.
While they're watching the kids play ball?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's allowed at high
Hell
school
yeah,
games?
dude. It's not high school. It's the travel ball.
Oh, travel ball.
High school, no. No one drinks at high school ball. That's different. That'd be weird. Although it'd be cool. You'd think that we'd drink more at high school games because we're all neighbors.
Yeah.
No. Not at all. I don't know. That's it. I don't really have much else.
Wow, that was
the
a
Cubs aren't
cliffhanger.
doing great.
I thought they're...
No, is there more? I mean, just choose your beer. Don't let anyone tell you that, like, Bud Light's gay or that Michelob is for CrossFitters or whatever. Drink what the fuck you want. Who cares?
Yeah, don't yuck other people's yum is what JT's trying to say.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Summer. Cool off with a beer.
Yeah, baseball.
Busch Light.
We're getting humbled right now by the Phillies, but we almost had a Chicago sweep, so...
God, the Cubs just suck right now.
Everything is going to get figured out.
What the fuck happened?
I think, and this is going to be my hot take right now, pitching is seeing the biggest overhaul it's seen in a generation.
Yeah.
Where the old hats are going away, like your Verlander, Cole's still on the shelf or whatever, but you're getting these younger guys, and teams don't have repertoire. That's why we have the lowest OPS in 2 decades right now. I think we're sub 700 going into...
Oh, science. There's some great science going on right now.
But, pitchers now, instead of being a 2-pitch, you have pitchers that are 4 and 5 pitch specialists.
Yeah, so those are two different conversations. The OPS conversation versus the pitch conversation. I do agree with the pitch selection, but I also think that there's too many flamethrowers. Paul Skeens will be in the bullpen within the next 3 to 4 seasons. Guaranteed. He throws too hard. You can't be a starter and throw that hard.
You have to be more crafty is what you're saying.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think that the curveball and the Greg Maddux style is going to come back. By 2030, baseball will be completely different in pitching. Starters specifically.
Good, though. Good.
I think relievers and closers will be fully on board with the 104, the 103, whatever it is, the Paul Skeens style. He'll be in the bullpen. But the curveball and the slider and the changeup are coming back big time. Pitch selection, studying the hitters, all that stuff's coming back. But the OPS conversation, if you're interested, if the viewer's interested, Aroldis Chapman threw a ball. I can't remember the guy who hit it specifically. Common name. Hit launch angle like 26 degrees. Perfect launch angle. The exit velocity was like 119. Perfect for a home run in every season other than 2024. And it didn't even make it to the warning track. So they're fucking around with the ball again.
Oh,
almost
wow.
100%. That's why the OPS is down, I think. They're fucking with the ball because OPS is on base plus slugging. So you have to have the slugging component.
Yeah.
And the slugging doesn't come if you hit pop flies to the center fielder. The slugging only comes when you hit it over the center fielder's head. So you get extra bases. There's just too much at play with OPS to get extra bases. You have to get extra bases to have a high OPS.
Interesting, because watching a lot of Brewer games, and I was still able to ingest a lot of them. I've probably watched 70% of the pitches thus far. We're getting a lot of between center field and over second base that are coming into, because people are playing deeper, just
they're
out
playing
of habit
deeper
or whatever
from last year.
And there's a lot of bloops or whatever, so you just put people on base You put them in scoring position, and you're able to, get like that's why Gary Sanchez is killing it right now.
I would argue that you could play them shallower and you'd still succeed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because the ball's different. It's the same, and we just experienced this with our kids. It's the same thing between going from 8th grade bats to high school BB core. The pop's different, and so kids who in 8th grade hit home runs hit pop flies in high school.
Just
because the bats change.
Yeah.
The bats in high school are BB core. They're supposed to simulate wood, which is a still bat
to deaden the pop.
Yeah, to deaden the pop, because kids were like getting hit in the head and dying. So a still bat in a vise, if you throw a baseball 100 miles an hour, a BB core bat, technically to qualify as BB core, it has to bounce off half the speed that the ball is thrown. Yeah. So if 100 miles an hour, it comes off the bat at 50. Any extra power in the ball, any extra exit velo is generated by the player.
Yep.
Whereas like these other bats, these drop 8s, drop 5s, if you're familiar with the terminology, they're popping like crazy. Like kids are hitting. I'm looking at 8th graders hitting these fucking like 350-foot home runs. There's no way that will just not happen in high school. They're going to pop out. And that's what's happening with the ball. The same ball last year, or the same pitch, hit, exit velo, launch angle. This year, not going out.
So you attribute they're fucking with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could believe it. And I think our closing thought is, thank God Angel fucking Hernandez decided to hang it up. He got pushed out. There's no other way. You're not going to retire midseason. It's not like, oh, no, you got pushed out.
Yeah, he got pushed
your
out.
Balls and strikes, your fucking zone is incredibly off. And it's the deviations between teams. People were sending video in. He was calling it fuck off. You had over 3 decades in the game. So.
Amazing video on umpires from Baseball Doesn't Exist. He covers Angel Hernandez in that video.
Yeah.
Amazing video. Baseball Doesn't Exist is the best baseball YouTube channel, period. I'll fight to the death for that.
He'll fight people, just like Scott would from Blink-182.
Mm-hmm.
That he was the better drummer. JT?
That's a very inaccurate statement. Even from Scott himself, I think he would agree Travis is the better
he's a
drummer.
police officer, so he wants to keep the peace.
But you know what Scott's better at? Police officering.
Police officering. I like it. JT, take us home on
episode 281. 19 more episodes to 300. Thanks for joining us. Bye.